Word, son. What it do, YouTube? It's your boy, Jay Divine. All right, man. Before we get into this video, make sure to like button, comment, subscribe, share the word, spread the links, because you know how I do. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, click the bell icon to be notified every time I upload. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right, man. So, Gran Turismo 7 came out. Geez, I can't really put the date in my mind right now, but it came out most recently. Not gonna lie to y'all, man, I've been secretly waiting on this for a while to come out now. I think this dropped sometime in March, I believe. Yeah, I've been waiting on it since then, man, because Gran Turismo 7 is going back to the roots of Gran Turismo 3, which, if any of y'all are racing fans, Gran Turismo 3 was like the holy grail of like racing games, to me at least anyway, because I remember watching my dad play Gran Turismo 3, and I remember like at that time he was like racking up so much credits, and they had these crazy endurance races, these championship races where if you had enough points you can skip out on some and still be in the lead. And you had these endurance races where you had to pit, you had to at the time you didn't have to manage fuel, but you know your tires would get hot and they get worn over time in the bottom left hand corner or right hand corner, whichever one, I forget. But they would they would happen to warm up. They'll go from blue because of cold, and then you would see them change colors as the time goes on. And the hotter they got, the more harder it was for the tires to grip on the road. So, like I said, those things to me, is what signified, sim racing. Matter of fact, I didn't even think of it as sim racing at the time. I just thought of it as a cool racing game. You know what I mean? So as time went on, they did Gran Turismo 4, 5, then they did Prologue. No, they did Prologue, then 5, then they did 6, and then they did Sport, then they did 7. Now, I bought Sport. Not gonna lie to you, that was kind of hit and miss for me because GT Sport was mostly just like a esports type of take on racing, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't really too much cut for Gran Turismo Sport, but however, after following Gran Turismo 7 for it coming out so long, pause on that. But for following Gran Turismo 7 and seeing in what direction they were taking it, and they said that they were going to go back to basically what they were known for at that time, which is Gran Turismo 3 around that time. They decided to take it back to those kind of roots. So to see them come back to that is pretty good. But I do have a few things I don't appreciate. The one thing, first things first, is online only. If you don't have online, you can't play. Don't really like that. You know what I'm saying? I wish they did something where you could not have to be connected to the internet in order to play. You know what I mean? But I kind of get why they're not allowing people to play offline and then go online, because you can kind of cheat the system, by going offline, doing whatever you got to do, then come on back line. And you know what I'm saying, I could tell that it's gonna be like a little sticky situation. So I kind of get it, but also at the same time I don't like that. So you got that. And then also another thing, which is the biggest thing for me, pause again, is the microtransactions. Not a big fan of it. Not a huge fan of microtransactions, because it takes away from what Gran Turismo was all about, which was grinding, doing the races, getting better cars as you go along, hopping up the cars, putting different parts in it. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you before, I don't know if I said this, but I remember my dad used to rack up so much credits on Gran Turismo 3, and I think the last thing that I remember was I think my dad had 78 million credits on Gran Turismo 3. I forget how much it was, but it was around that amount when he was on Gran Turismo 3. So, that was like from hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of grinding on Gran Turismo, you know what I'm saying? And then the payouts also the same as that time are good. Now, because people have also found ways to try to exploit the credit earning thing, this is what's leading to them, taking down the maximum amount for you to earn each race. Then the same as that time, people are also copping out and going to just buy the credits that they can use to just top up their wallet, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't appreciate it at all. I believe the president of Gran Turismo, or the creator of Gran Turismo, said something along the lines of him going in and being able to make it to where microtransactions either can't be used or it won't be as big of a problem as we're making it to be. But his overall vision was to make it to where you have to grind to get to where you want to be at. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, man, Gran Turismo 7 is really, really good. As you can tell about this gameplay, this was my best gameplay. You know what I'm saying? I just needed to get something for the background. But definitely, I'm really glad that Gran Turismo 7 dropped. People are ragging on it because they have microtransactions and it's online only. But just based off those two things, it's like, what else can you complain about? You know what I mean? Like, there's really nothing else you can complain about except that. You know what I mean? Everything else is pretty much just nitpicky at that point. And then a lot of people will say, this game is boring. Forza Horizon's better. And I'm just like, you can't really compare Horizon to Gran Turismo. Like, you really can't. You know what I mean? If you want to give a fair comparison, you have to compare Forza Motorsport to Gran Turismo 7. And to tell you the truth, Motorsport, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's all over the place. Like, there's really no structure to it. Like, as soon as you start out, you have a badass car. You know what I'm saying? Like, or you have probably one of the badass cars when you first start off. They give you one little beater car or whatever. Then after that, once you get to like a certain like level, they just give you cars. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can go in and buy cars if I'm not mistaken, but it doesn't have that same structure that Gran Turismo has. And that was, I thought, was cool. You know what I mean? You don't have to have a license, or you don't have to have a certain amount of licenses on Motorsport versus Gran Turismo, because you got to actually do the license classes and then complete them all in order to get clearance for said race. Like, give an example, if I was doing a championship race and I needed the IC class, I needed class IC or IA in order for me to compete. If I didn't compete, I can have the car, but if I don't have that certification, I can't join the race until I beat those challenges in the license and get my actual certification. You know what I mean? So it just added more of a progression type thing, and more of an incentive to you to go in here and actually get the clearances, you know what I'm saying, to feel more qualified. So, but as far as Horizon goes, or Motorsport goes, there's really no structure to it. You know what I mean? You can do any race as long as you have the car, as long as you have it hooked up right, you can do the race. You know what I mean? There's really no restrictions on it. As far as like Horizon, on the other hand, you can't really compare that, because that's a free roam type game, and Gran Turismo never prided themselves on making that game free roam. Everything was circuit course based racing. You know what I mean? So if you want to compare Horizon, you got to compare that with like The Crew or Test Drive Unlimited. You know what I mean? If that came back around, those types of games. But you can't put Horizon with Gran Turismo, because they're two different types of games at that point. So it's not really a fair comparison. But yeah, man, definitely that's like my honest opinion about it. If they take away the microtransactions and not make it to only where it's online only, that would probably make this game like the tip top. But like I said, those two things are minuscule compared to all the great things that this game has to offer. But so far so good. I'm loving it, man. As you can tell by the screenshot, that's actually an actual screenshot I took. You know what I mean? I got all the cars, not all the cars, but I got namely a few cars from Too Fast, Too Furious. Of course, I got my Hellcat, you know what I mean? And, a plethora of other things that they've given me through missions and stuff like that. But Gran Turismo 7, man, is a great return back to the series. And I really advise everybody to go pick that game up, man. If you really want to jump back into Gran Turismo, or you want to give Horizon a rest, you know what I'm saying, or just Forza in general a rest, go pick up Gran Turismo, man. I promise you, that's probably like the best. Well, I think I did the special edition, but yeah, that's probably like the best amount of money you ever spent on a racing sim, bar none. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below, man. Make sure to like button, comment, subscribe. Appreciate love and support y'all be showing also. But yeah, make sure to like button, comment, subscribe, share the word, spread the links, because you know how I do. But we're going to get up out of here, man. It's your boy Jay Devine, and I'm signing out. Peace.